So that's a framework in which you've got a kind of sequential emergence, right, of kind of physics becoming chemistry, becoming biology, and then
Hmm.
consciousness is an emergent feature of biological functioning in some way. Whereas in your work, your
Right.
would you say that your view is one of idealism, that only consciousness exists?
Right. That's right. Although I tend not to use the word idealism because through the history of philosophy, it's had a lot of associations that I'm not eager to participate in. It's had an anti-science flavor, for example. Berkeley, in some sense, proposed his version of idealism as a reaction against the successful mechanism of Newton, and in many cases, idealism has been an anti-science kind of thing, and never been proposed in a mathematically rigorous fashion, right? I mean, I've never seen an idealist say, "Here's my theory of consciousness, and here's the mathematics of this." So the whole history of idealism is not something I want to be associated with. But yes, it's idealism in the sense, the precise sense that instead of taking space-time and its contents as fundamental, which is the foundation of the physicalist framework, I take consciousness, and by that I mean experiences like the taste of a donut, the smell of coffee, experiences and experiencers, but not necessarily selves, just experiences and experiencers, maybe not self-aware experiencers, as fundamental. I'm trying to build a theory, a mathematical theory of what I mean by that. So I've proposed precise mathematics of what I mean by, what structure do experiences have? What structure do experiencers have? What is a self? Can we construct selves dynamically out of experiences, and so forth? So it's absolutely idealism in that sense, but it's not the anti-science, the anti-rigor kind of idealism that's been around in the past. And so that's why I call it conscious realism, because there's another aspect to idealism that I want to walk away from. It's idealism is often taken as an anti-realist point of view, and I'm a scientific realist. I think it's a legitimate goal for scientific theories to try to be true to the world. I just don't think that they've succeeded, including my theory. Right. I'm a scientific realist. I think that's a legitimate goal, and I understand from epistemological issues that even if we succeed, we'll not know if we succeeded. Right. The next experiment could show that you were wrong. So it's an interesting position that we're in. I think it's a legitimate goal to be realists, to try to come with true theories. On the other hand, I think we absolutely at every step have to be completely humble about our theories and say, despite all their strengths and successes, the next experiment could show that we're deeply wrong. And in fact, not to be afraid of that, but to be looking for that, right? As soon as you can get something that smashes your current theory, you should break out the champagne. We're about to learn something. So a lot of it may be hard for some people to understand that kind of attitude. I mean, don't you just want to know? Well, yes, but what also we understand that even if we happen to know the truth, we'll never know that we know the truth. We can't know, right? Because you just will never know that you haven't done the next experiment that will take it down. And so yeah, it is idealism in that sense. But I should say why. One reason why I'm going there, and why, as a scientist, I think it's because it seems really, in some sense, sort of stupid. Why go there? I mean, science has been exceedingly successful. Physicalism has been unbelievably successful. We owe our standard of living today to a science that's based on physicalism. Space-time is fundamental, microphysical. We owe probably our very lives to that science. But our best scientific theories, general relativity, quantum field theory, and evolution by natural selection, those three theories, all three of our best theories are clearly telling us that space-time is doomed. Space-time cannot be fundamental. In the case of general relativity and quantum field theory, it's the very notion of space-time falls apart when you try to measure its smaller and smaller levels, right? So the whole reductionist framework of most physicalist science, not all, but most, falls apart because the reduction has to stop at the Planck scale, roughly the Planck scale. You cannot continue to measure at smaller and smaller levels of precision in space and time. To do that, you need, light that to see smaller and smaller, right? You need light with higher and higher frequencies of wavelength, higher and higher frequencies, smaller wavelengths. And that means higher and higher energies. And the problem is that as you use higher and higher energies to probe smaller and smaller regions of space, eventually you get so much energy in a small amount of space that you create a black hole. And the very thing you're trying to study no longer exists. And if you try to get even more energy to look even harder, then the black hole just gets bigger. So it's that, it's not that there are pixels of space-time, it's that space-time itself is not even a well-defined concept anymore. It ceases to exist. And so it cannot be fundamental. It's an emergent concept. And that is a showstopper, right? Space-time is not fundamental. Think about how important that is. Right now, our fundamental story from science is the Big Bang. Space-time was born 13.8 billion years ago. Everything that we know is things that happen inside space-time. The creation of particles, the annihilation of particles, quantum field, everything is defined on general relativity as a theory of space-time. Quantum field theory, the fields are defined over space and time, over space-time. And the work I've been doing is showing that evolution by natural selection also entails that space-time is doomed. It's a clear implication of evolution by natural selection that the probability is zero that our perceptions of space-time and physical objects in space-time reflects anything true about the structure of objective reality. Nothing. Space-time, according to evolution by natural selection and according to general relativity and quantum field theory, cannot be fundamental. Now, and if you can just Google that, it's not just me saying it. If you Google space-time is doomed, you will find videos by world-class scientists who will explain to you, in some of the videos are in language that is intended for a broad audience. They'll explain why it's over. Space-time has had a good run. It's been fabulous foundation for several centuries, at least since Newton, but it's over. And we're now looking for a new foundation outside of space-time from which space-time emerges. Space-time has to be emergent. And my work is trying to come up with a theory of consciousness as what's fundamental. Other scientists are looking for other things, like maybe quantum bits and quantum gates. Seth Lloyd at MIT has done that. Others like Nima or Connie Hamed at Princeton, Institute for Advanced Study, Princeton, they're just following the math. They say, we don't know what this realm behind space-time is, but let's try to nail down mathematically what it looks like. There's things like Grassmannians and amplituhedron and positive geometries and permutations and associahedron. There's all these mathematical structures that they're just, but what those structures are about is not clear. But they're using mathematics as a flashlight into the dark beyond space-time to try to figure out what is this realm. And I'm using similar ideas, but a theory in which consciousness is fundamental. So if it works, it'll be a watershed in science. We will have to let go of space-time. And when you think about what it means to let go of space-time, it's profound. I mean, it means letting go of microphysical particles as fundamental reality. It means letting go of the reductionist paradigm. But the constraint on our deeper theory outside of space-time will have to be that whatever this deeper theory is, when we project it back into space-time, we better get quantum field theory, general relativity, and evolution by natural selection, and understand how space-time and these theories are limiting cases of this deeper, more profound theory. That's it. So there's a lot of fun work for young scientists. There's tremendous challenges and exploration ahead.